Alrighty. Welcome everyone to Monday, and what a weekend it was. History made, crazy gaps, and obviously a flash sale that we're seeing right now. Though it isn't across every single market as badly as some. Crypto taking the biggest brunt, some of the alts, obviously Ethereum getting absolutely liquidated. We actually watched it live in our private stream. We do a macro show if anyone doesn't know. Links over at fxevolution.com if you want to join that type of show. But and I will be sharing a little bit of the content we went through, I guess this morning or last night in the US, because of course this is a very, very important time. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Tariffs. Obviously, we need to discuss what does it mean. Should we be concerned? Should we be terrified? And what's next? So what is going to happen next? Well, I'll give you the first good stuff. Okay. We'll give you the good stuff before we go into some of the data. And the good stuff is we've got you guys here. So give it a likes and thumbs up. We'll give a shout out to the first people that are up. Obviously, we've got Finley saying gold's going to push $3,000. Yes, well, I agree. Gold's good, man. We've got Dave, Mod. Thank you very much, Dave, as always. Chris, TX Redman. Obviously, Gold Rush, Hi Guy, Brian, K-Debs, an Aussie audiophile, Justin, Michael, Jim, Extraordinary Dave, Chris, and many, many others. So thank you guys for joining us here this morning. To get it ticked off and get the stream kind of started in a good way, make sure to give it a thumbs up if you do enjoy the content. Today, we're covering stocks, commodities, and cryptos as we deep dive into a little bit of what we think about these tariffs. Obviously, what we think about the sales, I guess you could say, on the crypto market right now, and whether things are going to get worse before they get better. So first up, let's look at this structure. We'll just quickly do a quick snapshot here, a bit of structure. I'm sure a few of you want the answer. And the first one is Bitcoin. I'll just quickly show you here with Bitcoin because crypto really is taking the brunt. You'll notice there's a huge difference between crypto and the rest of the stock market now, although the rest of the stock market was down a lot more before. And that is that we still managed to hold this area down here. Now, you'll notice I've had these two lines for a while. And look, when I saw it today, I thought 94,000 is probably going to hold Bitcoin. It's going to be okay. And it went down a little bit lower, got into the 92s. Obviously, some of the other cryptos fell. And we are faced with a Wyckoff question, which we'll cover later on. Okay. So we're faced with a big problem here. Is this the end or is this still okay? A little while ago, we had this sell-off, which I suspected was the low. So this had all the hallmarks of a low. And then, of course, we saw that massive volume candle over here. And since then, we've got tariffs and everything selling off. But let's just quickly go over the US 500. Just quickly note, it hasn't dropped underneath the 59.20, 59.50 level, which is very important to hold today. So we'll go through that later on why. And, of course, the dollar is also going to need to be watched this week, getting close to a new high. But let's jump on over to what this tariff stuff means. So first up, I just quickly posted this on X. You've probably seen it. It was part of my discussion today. I did a quick, I'm not sure if these exactly are the figures, but, I think you've got to put things in perspective whenever you've seen, crashes or anything like this. And obviously, the main thing we want to be looking at here is what does this GDP thing mean? So, of course, we've got 25% tariffs on Mexico, 25% tariffs on Canada, 10% tariffs on China. I think it's purposeful that it's smaller on China because of the GDP component that could be there. But you can see here, US exports to Mexico as a percentage of GDP 1.2, US exports to Canada as a percentage of GDP 1.5. So that's kind of important. And in terms of Canada exports to the US as a percentage of GDP, it's going to hurt those numbers. Now, I think it's also another way to look at it is what are the inflation concerns, okay? Because, of course, when you hear the word tariff, you hear the word inflation. So I shared this blurry chart. You're not blind, guys. You're not blind. And that is that I'm Canadian. Yeah, it's probably not the best for Canadians. But we'll give our thoughts. We're going through it. Let's go through a process here of elimination and then work out what's happening. So back when tariffs were implemented, and this is important because tariffs were implemented back in 2018, and this blurry chart shows this. We saw inflation in, of course, the tariff areas. 9 tariff impacted categories. Guess what happened? It went up. Now, we were in a deflationary boom at the time, so, didn't really show up as much, and prices had remained very low for a long time, so it wasn't really showing as much for people. But you can see here there is, of course, an impact that goes onto these goods. Now, which area do I think it hits the hardest? Automakers. You got parts going and cars being built all over the place. But last time I checked, there was like 2 million cars or something sitting idle in the US, not sold. So again, it could take a little while to flow through. And I think this is all important because I believe you're going to see meetings between Mexico, Canada, the US, China. It's already, some of them have been announced. And this will be an ongoing saga for a few weeks. And then who knows, maybe some strange deal will be done and it'll be gone. Okay. That is definitely scenario one. And that's, of course, I guess you would say the most positive scenario. We eliminate the tariffs or at least reduce them, put them on a few things. And I could see that as being like an optics thing as well. You kind of get like a little bit of a couple of tariffs on, you get like a win somewhere else. Look, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. It's politics, But when we did see tariffs, this is Volmageddon, but also the period where we saw tariffs. And of course, we went into a bit of a trade war speculation. And that's where things get really bad. Because, of course, the last trade war, how much did the market sell off? Well, it went from 3K almost all the way down to 2350. And you've got to remember, this is the S&P. If you actually look at the NASDAQ, it went down a lot more. So I think the worst case scenario would be that these maintain past a month. Okay. I can see the market just, eating it for a month. But if we continue to see it maintain, it will degrade the market. All right. It's done it before. Yes, every time's different, but you've just got to remember that this is the type of thing we're seeing here. To read a couple of your comments. Canada will be fine. Yeah, I'm not saying it's doomsday or anything like that. We're going through each step of process. But the first steps I thought here were that we wanted to look at what previously happened. We want to understand whether tariffs can cause inflation in those categories. And then we also want to understand how much, even if these tariffs do cause inflation in those categories, as a percentage of GDP, if you think about it, it's probably not going to cause significant inflation the way it stands right now. It's estimated to cause somewhere between 0.1 and 0.2. Okay. I don't know exactly the numbers because I'm not the economist that's going to work that out, but I think not negligible, but it's certainly not the end of the world. Now, could you expect that this year? Yeah. I mean, in some ways, you could expect things like this to occur. Guys, 2025, I don't know how many times we've said this. We've got 2,000 people joining us here this morning. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. It is a monumental and big day here, and we're going through everything that you need to know about markets. But just remember, it is going to be one of those years, guys, that we need to think about, could it be another 18? Let's just go back to 18 and remember what it was. It actually did have a new high. Down and up and down and up and down and new highs and then lows and all sorts of things. So was it an easy year? Arguably, probably no. Some people say, well, it's easy because there's so much opportunity. But obviously, the easiest year is 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, that kind of thing. So, yeah, that is something to think of. All right, let's go back over here. This is the expectations for first-year Republicans. We've already talked about our concerns that this was going to be kind of what may happen. Technically, the second half is usually worse. It's worth keeping that in mind. It's also worth keeping in mind, guys, that we do have earnings this week. So just remember, there are plenty of earnings coming out. And some of those big earnings are going to be coming from, obviously, Amazon, Cloudflare, Alphabet, Chipotle, AMD, one that definitely is going to be watched. And I think this is still important to note because we are kicking ass in earnings. I mean, the fact is the market is absolutely hitting the milestones we've talked about recently, and that is usually going to take a new higher high. Now, tariffs are pretty much the only thing stepping in the place of the market at the moment and trying to get those all-time highs and trying to keep pushing it because the earnings, frankly, they've been holding up. These are some of the keys after the close today. Not a great day to be going. Palantir, 13.4%. Let's have a look at the dollar index. This is what tends to happen. Dollar index usually spikes around this time and then ends up dropping. Again, the word tariffs, again, can bring dollar up. If you actually go back and look at the 2018 period, we ended up getting a stronger dollar. So this will be worth watching. Strong dollar is going to be bad for the China trade. Going to be potentially not that great for gold, although I think gold will hold its own. We'll talk about that soon. And yeah, in general, this is, of course, a chart that a lot of people are sharing. So I think the keys here, guys, are should we be concerned? What do you think, chat? Are you worried? Are you seriously concerned? Do you think the market can can eat this up and keep going. Obviously, crypto market's different case. We'll talk about that soon. Canada will not become an S1 state. Okay. I'm not going to get into any of this type of discussion, just so we know. It's purely just about financials. There are no concerns. No, I have Baba puts. Okay. Morning, Tom and all. Hey, Dave. What's up? Not really. Yes, no, yes, no, nah. Okay. Global crash, then bailout makes assets go up. The wealth have assets, not wages. Trump did say that in the run up to the election, he wanted to see the market crash. Yeah, I've said it many times. It's not that he wanted to see that, he said the market was going to crash pretty hard like 1929, but you've got to remember he also said that markets sometimes have to suffer a little bit. I think that's the key here to the wording, which basically said that yes, he's going to put on tariffs at some point. And then the question is, does he want to, kind of continue this market to go up, or is he going to just clean it full up straight away? We don't know that yet. But anyway, that's not really what we're going to speculate on today. What we're going to talk about is what we've got. So in this case, gold was already front running this as per usual. We do love gold, guys. Take a look at these deliveries. Yeah, new record, boys and girls. Absolutely. Look at this. Yeah, look at that. Absolute monster. And that's good. So everyone must like gold today. See, crypto, gold can be good. It's all right. Gold's all right. Yeah. I am happy with gold today. I'm obviously not happy with my crypto portfolio. It sucks, as I'm sure it does for everybody else. But that's how it is sometimes. In crypto, if you don't expect a 30% crash, hey, you haven't been in crypto long enough. That's the way it kind of is. And I wanted to just show this as well, which is obviously where are we right now. So we're about here. I do have a couple of other charts I was going to share, which is basically, what tends to happen at the start of a new election, which basically just looks like this. Well, I'll show you actually. So it does this and then like that. Okay. And this is usually around that March, April kind of period. Okay? That's where usually you see an uptick. But anyway, that's just the standard year. This is more important. The structure post first cut. So if markets start to really decline and we lose a couple of levels we'll talk about soon together, this is a worry. Okay, that is not good. And I would completely change my opinion on the markets should that actually happen. Because, we need other things. But if those things do line up, is going to be a concern. All right, guys. So I guess the essence of it is I've done the numbers a little bit. I think that we don't need to be terrified in the stock market. We need to really question why crypto's fallen so much. So let's get the chat out. Why do you think crypto's fallen so much, chat? Let me know your thoughts, and we'll go through the key levels. Find a green chart and watch that all day. You want to watch, we can watch gold and paint drying. We could also watch the US dollar at the moment. That would probably be the two ones here. There are very clearly two fibs, 50s that have been held strong for a long time in the buy levels. Okay, yep. Major risk off, overreaction, liquidations, too much leverage. Yeah. So this is the animal spirits alive and well. So if we actually go over here for a second and we scroll down here for a second, you can see this chart, which I shared, which is the most liquidations in the past 24 hours. It's actually higher now, $2.21 billion of liquidations. Long, 1.87 billion wiped out. I do feel sorry for people that obviously get wiped in these situations. So that's a very nasty position. And for context, this is bigger than Luna, bigger than FTX. And I do believe we likely have seen the bottoming of the crypto market after that. Because when did it bottom? It bottomed during the period of after the Asian sessions open, before Frankfurt opens. Notoriously one of the worst liquidity periods. The second worst liquidity period is, of course, after New York closes into the Australian Open, where you've just got really New Zealand opening and that's it. Sorry, New Zealand guys, you just don't bring the liquidity like the rest of the world. So the two illiquidity periods are generally after the market, a little bit later, and of course that kind of midday during the Asian session into that Frankfurt Open, London Open session. And you tend to get illiquidity. And I was watching this and it was pure illiquidity. Now, I'd assume the markets, the actual charts were just crashing, as in basically Binance and others went down. Maybe someone can confirm that. But what you'll notice is a big ass wick. So this becomes very important when we talk about where we expect the markets to go next, because that's a huge liquidation here. It will take 1 to 2 weeks for alts to find proper bottom. Oh yeah, don't bet on the alts. The thing here is the the alts are not the place generally to be. Usually you see Bitcoin and then, well, some alts will go up like XRP and stuff. Crypto price is notoriously manipulated. Yep, crypto fell because I bought some. I think you might have mentioned that. Crypto falls because rates will stay the same due to inflation fears caused by tariffs. Yeah, that's a story, I'm sure, but I don't believe that's going to fall this much on crypto. Bigger than Luna percentage wise. Well, it's all about the overall market cap. Market cap's the most important component here. There is no coincidence in crypto. Stuff like this is always manipulated. And then Krasimir says BTFD. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a very, very interesting level that just happened. So I was actually watching this one live. Most of you guys are probably sleeping. But what happened, I just want to explain this because a lot of people don't understand like how a liquid crypto gets and why it's a dangerous asset when you don't know what you're doing with it. So 2600's hit. Now, as I've written here, it's the most traded zone. It's a pretty good area. And it sees a little bounce, okay, not much. Maybe goes up $100, $80, whatever. Then it drops, okay, went under 2600. Now, you expect that to be a pretty fast drop. And of course, you expect 2400 to get hit. 1 second later, it hits 2400. Basically just freezes, okay? That's illiquidity. There's nothing underneath. Then it comes up a little bit, and then it just gets crunched, and then goes down like this, and then it just goes bang. And you'll notice it wipes this area. Now, I think that's very important. And it's why, I wrote that post that I think the low's in, okay? Similar to what I said in Bitcoin the other day when it ramped off that level, this is the type of thing that you see. And it's synergized with a lot of cryptos, guys. And it's synergized with a lot of markets. So we saw US 2K, the Russell, it hit pretty hard lows. And if during these crash periods, we've done this a few times, did it last year, we do it now again. We look for synergies in the markets. And this thing was, it was brutal. It's ballistic. Of course, it's terrible. But it is crypto. Look over here. Is it any different? People say, oh, it's even crazier. No, it's pretty much what it does. This is what it does. That's 1 day. So, of course, it's an epic fall for 1 day. And it'll go down as one of the bigger ones ever for 1 day in market cap. But it's traditionally what has occurred. You can see those huge spikings. So what you're actually wanting today is, I often say patience, react, don't predict, guys. Look, if you're going to buy these dip bottoms, you're going to have to be doing it as an investor or position buyer. If you're doing it as a trader, you're probably gambling. Now, what you're looking for, though, guys, is this to clear, hold a wick. So if this goes back down during today, closes down like here, the bottom may not be in, okay? If it closes where it is right now, I think it's looking really good. And it may still trickle down, but I don't think it's going to make a new low. And that's important because when you're trying to dissect this tariff stuff and all the fear and everything that's going to be in the media, you've got to say, can this really go lower? Well, of course it can. But if it holds up and it's done the story that we've seen, it's likely that it's the low, okay? Because it's traditionally been statistically that way. So if you look at the amount that's been liquidated, big record numbers, and this is important because it goes across all the markets, yeah? It doesn't matter whether you trade Ethereum or not. I know we're not a main crypto channel, but I'm just saying it doesn't matter which crypto you trade or whatever it is. It's the theory behind it. So basically, when you see this type of liquidation, you see this type of fear, it happens at that time. You start to put, it's like Inspector Clouseau or whatever. You start to, the Pink Panther or something like that. You're putting together the process. And the process right now seems like that it most likely is hit low. What do you guys think in chat? Do you agree? Anything can happen now. Trudeau and Trump are going to talk today. Yeah, exactly. Analog Lime says, you clowns have had it too good for too long. Eat a Okay, we won't say that right now. Markets also fall. Of course they fall, man. I guess he's a bear. So the question is it time to be a big bear? Is this the end? I'm going to put it to a poll. I think only the poll can answer, then I'll give you my opinion. All right, here we go. I don't care what market it is. It's a yes or no. Simple as this. Is this the start of a bigger fall in the markets? And obviously, we'll get those polls in right now. I always say this, okay, while we're getting these polls through. I always say that you've got to look at a situation and say, can it be fixed? Remember last year, we had the whole Bank of Japan raised interest rates. The market absolutely freaked out and everyone was running around saying the world's going to end. Yeah, but it could be reversed. It could be fixed. In that case, you're generally going to be looking at it saying, well, it's probably a BTFD, frankly, if it's at the right time. I don't blame anyone that's bearish on markets for being bearish right now. There are more key reasons than ever before. 35 to 36 times forward PEs for some of the biggest stocks. That is historically very, very high. We've obviously got one standard deviation expenses, on some of these stocks as well. That's historically ridiculous. There's no doubt that we are in a bubble, okay? That either people call a bubble and they've been calling it for ages, or we're in kind of like a bubble that's becoming the norm. When a bubble becomes the norm, that's the most terrifying component. By the way, did anyone notice? Obviously, we had the dark pools here, and we've got up to 34.50 just before. Oh, did anyone notice? And it just tapped our level. Look at this. Look at this. I haven't changed anything here from last week. Look at this. And then just craps itself. It didn't even manage to get above. Now, if it gotten above, it would have trapped me even more as well. Because what it would have done is I would have activated more buys. I'm sure a few of you guys would have too. Because frankly, we saw big trades here, big trades here. It was a great level, by the way. You've got to go back and you've got to reassess and say, well, did it work? I mean, dark pools were in here. It went up, 12, 13%. Now, obviously, we got tariffs since then. But, this was a bit nasty in some ways. At least it wasn't nasty enough to get above the high. No mod politics. Yeah, let's not get into mod politics. No mods, please don't do politics. We've already seen Trump tariff before, and what happened? Well, it caused again. You've got to realize it's not the tariff; it's how many tariffs there are. So if it's a blanket tariff, it's a bit different. Then it depends where is it. Yeah, so you can't just say that. That's not exactly the wording. You have to treat everything on its own merits, but still, I agree that it is not enough percentage of GDP necessarily down a market that's already very aggressively bull, thanks to having those huge animal spirits, people just sucking. There's so much leverage going into the markets right now, and that's what's causing all of this instability. But what we should always realize, guys, before we answer the question, is this vol is terrifying, okay? Because what this is showing you is this market's not stable. This market knows it's a ripoff. And this market is only a matter of time now before something really hits the fan. Now, let's see what you guys voted. The vote was 50. Wow, very close. 47% of you said yes, it's the beginning of something bigger. And the other ones, 53% said no. So you guys are incredibly split on how you feel about this and how you feel about, obviously, the future of the market, which, is fair. I think it's a confusion day. Okay, I'm going to give you my opinion. I think the markets can survive this because I think there'll be some kind of deals that are done. And this will always be looming and always be threatened. And I could see an optics deal being done here, tariffs here, tariffs there, a little bit of, give me what I want, give me what, whatever, something going on. Now, that may not be the case. It may not go like that, but that's probably my opinion. I'd say that's probably the way it'll go. And then the question is, have we actually got a catalyst for a proper crash? And I would say no, not yet. We just don't see the weakness currently, and obviously we don't know that we don't have like huge amounts of other things coming through yet, but we don't have usually many of my 7 reasons to go actually full on bearish on markets. I don't have them, and if I had them, I'd be like, okay, maybe this is it. But I know that this is likely not the one. It could begin the catalysts of other things coming out, and if they come out, we'll be the first to tell you if I think that's the case. But for now, I think it is an overreaction, especially in the crypto markets. I think these crypto markets got tanked. I think if you look at Solana as well, great crypto, obviously, well known, very popular, absolutely hit key levels again. Ethereum wipes the low trend line hit here on Solana. Beautiful hit, realistically. Have a look at another one that's popular, and that is XRP, which is okay in my book now. Full white on XRP, classic. Especially if it holds the wick, that'll be very strong. Can still drop off there, by the way. Can still do this, but usually that would be the way it would play. I don't think it's unlikely if it closes like a wick like this that it goes and takes the low again, and that just seems unlikely. I mean, especially with the consideration of how big that is and how much money and how much fear just hit that market. Remember the timing in between Asian Open, Frankfurt. You had that really illiquid period, and that's where these markets got absolutely punished. And that smells like a big, dirty big whale. Like one of those, like a whale, like the megalodon. The megalodon. People who have money invested in the market are prepared to lose around 30 to 60% of your overall wealth. Yeah, probably at one point. F did go home, but may get some more things off Amazon for the house. Okay. Binance is the dirty whale. Well, Binance might have dropped, I think, here. Even HSI is not down much. Well, remember, only 10% tariffs. Did you see that? Only 10% on China. I think that is very telling. We just did the GDP number before. And that's why when I saw this, and I still don't really get the crypto sell, frankly, I think it's just full whale, just absolute illiquidity, dodge, typical crypto kind of stuff, unfortunately. And you might not like me to hear that or say that, but let's be real. You trade crypto for the last 10 years, and if you don't realize it's in a liquid hellhole during these types of events, then that's what happens. It is a liquid, and it is chunky, and it is nasty. It reminds me, I haven't really seen too many of these liquidity periods, in the main assets, other than, of course, March 2020. The GFC had a lot of it. Gold in March, it was terrible. It was like dropping $15 like this. Bang, gone, $15. Just exploded. Like a lot of you guys wouldn't have seen that, but that was happening. And obviously, Euro Swiss was the craziest one. If you don't know the story of Euro Swiss, they took the peg away back in the day, probably what is it now, over 10 years ago. And it dropped from 1.2, which was the peg level. I'll show you guys. And it's not even the real print, what you see anymore on these charts, but I'll show it to you anyway. Let's just have a look here. Get a bit of an appreciation for what it did. Well, this one doesn't even go back far enough. There it is. So you can see this. That happened in like 2 minutes. All right, so that's illiquidity at its finest. This actually dropped on the charts to 46 cents. So I saw reads that were down as low as 46 cents. Yeah, that was insane. That was 120 to 46 cents in 3 minutes or less. It was just chunk, absolute destroyer. So again, that's why you don't really want to trade pegged things if you can help it. When the peg goes, it's bad. Caught the Cardano trade when dumped 52 cents. Oh, that's not bad. 52 cents is a decent pickup for Cardano. Great coin. Obviously, very solid level. 52 cents. I don't even see 52 cents. How are you getting 52 cents, sir? What is this? Is this a lie? Hey? Some dodgy techniques? Ah. Old Binance just pushing a little bit lower, hey? What's going on here? Old Binance just flipping those people down here, taking out. Oh my goodness. Yeah, old Binance, eh? Big talk in Canada. I'd boycott now. Not only tariffs, people are really pissed off. They booed the American anthem 3 times in the hockey games. Yeah, I saw that. Again, I think people, well, obviously, I'm not getting any further than that. But let's just say that people will say they do things. I remember Gillette years ago had some ad that I was like, this ad is terrible. And someone probably knows the ad. Anyway, I thought the ad was absolute BS. It was just so stupid. Anyway, I decided I wouldn't use their products. And then I realized they were in everything. I was like, oh no, you can't even get away from them. Anyway, the point is you can boycott whatever you want. I did up reading all the backs of everything and figuring out all the businesses everybody owned. Did I do it? Yes, I did. Do I still do it? Yes, I do. But it's not easy, guys. People have fish bowl memories. That's why we always forget every time it crashes. Remember Warren Buffett's concept: be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. A lot of people think that means buy the dip the next day after a crash. You've got to realize what is the crash happening for. So I think what we've done so far is we've kind of had a look over it. We know that it's 10% on China, which I find suspicious. Okay. And what that means is it's 25% on Canada and Mexico. I obviously think there's going to be talks all over the place. I think there's going to be some optics plays. I think they're going to come to a deal. This is me being positive. Okay. And I think the earnings in the US is pretty damn fantastic. And the forward guidance is really good. So were we shaping up to hit an all-time high? Yeah, I think so. And I still think we can. So let's go over to the US 500 for a second. And again, this is maybe you're saying, well, Tom, you're too positive about that. You're being stupid. Again, if I had other reasons that were outside of the news, because I don't look at a tariff being implemented on the weekend and then instantly everyone going and having a meeting as necessarily the beginning of the end of the world. I look at it as, well, there is a solution. The question is, do they want to do it? And then you have to ask yourself, how are they motivated to do it? Okay. That's how I look at it. So US 500 hits 5900, 5950 area. This is obviously a solid area for the US 500. Is it the greatest buy the dip considering the news today? Not really. I would almost not even bother. You could say, well, this is a good buy, whatever. Look, over here is a much better buy than over here. But look, should you be concerned if you're in the market? Nothing, isn't it? 1.4%, 4.6%, that's nothing. Now, if it drops this level, obviously you'd probably expect 5,800, maybe even 5,700. We drop 5,700, then you can start getting concerned. So I think overall, statistically, things still look pretty good. That was an excellent rip too. So if this tariff didn't come in, I think we're getting an all-time high. So yeah, you can say that's for sure that there's market was looking pretty good statistically. All right, let's move over to the NASDAQ for a second, see how that looks. Again, has it dropped a new low? No. Friday obviously was a warning. Closed out. A lot of you probably said, where the hell was your weekend video? I had the Black Plague. Okay. I don't know what it was, but I had to sleep 40 hours. I'm not even kidding you. I slept 40 hours. I'm all good now. I don't know what it was. The Black Plague, guys. But I do apologize. Couldn't get it done. I was trying to. I was like, oh, the tariffs, and it gave me a headache. I already had a massive headache, and I was like, I read the tariffs getting implemented, and I was like, at Friday, I thought he's going to put them in. I thought he's going to put them in. And then it happened on Saturday, and I woke up for like 10 minutes and splitting headache. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, oh, I got to make a video. And then I was like, no, I can't do it. And the reason is because I knew that whatever those weekend futures were and everything else like this, it was going to play out in a way that was just going to be like, you have to look into it a bit more. You have to do a bit of research. You have to figure out these GDP numbers, what's going to happen to the inflation. Anyway, that's where the bid was. So it usually is always there, as you guys know. I bring it every single week as much as we can. And by the way, I'd like to say thank you. We have achieved very soon 5 years together on YouTube. 5 years, guys. We'll have to do something special for that. Now, I think that's in April. And that is amazing. And I think I've produced something like 1,400 videos. So, and that's not to include the others. So there you go. We've done a lot of vids. We've done a lot of things together, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you very much for that. Also got 3,200 people here live. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Obviously, big day. We've already covered some good data if you're interested in having a look at that. Obviously, we're asking the question of, is this a flash sell? Are they going to come to a deal? Is this all going to be an optics play and all sorts of things? Well, I tend to believe so. I obviously have to look at the backbone of the market at the moment right now, which theoretically looks good. But don't ever fool yourself to thinking that this new norm of totally overpriced market, even if we do get past this and it all goes green and everything's all good in a few months' time, yeah, I'd be on the super lookout over the next year. And I've said that all of this year so far, and I continue to say it. Up, down, all around. I still will project out, I guess, a bullishness for now. But I am, yeah, then, where are my strengths? There are defensives at the moment. They're gold. Loving gold, obviously gold. Look at this. Gold doing the good stuff. Those settlements, wow. People loving gold, guys. And I do think that ultimately this event, whether you like to admit it or not, watch, I asked the chat, you reckon this helps gold or not? What we just saw on the weekend. Feb is bear month. That's correct, Glenn. Feb is technically bear month for Feb is bear month technically for election years. Just buy PLTR. Kind of seems a bit expensive, frankly, but anyway. PLTR is the defensive now. Is it up today or something, is it? Roberta says, hey, Dave. First time messaging. Been with you for a year somewhere. Love the content. I think you mean, hey, Tom. But what's up, Robertus? What's up, man? No, yes, helps. No, remember Bank of Japan crash liquidity must come from somewhere. No, we love, you got to love gold after this. I'll tell you why. This incredible, in my opinion, this does degrade the US dollar and it improves BRICS, which is a shame because obviously there is, I kind of find it easier to invest while the US dollar is supreme. And don't get me wrong, guys, the US dollar is still supreme. You got, 10, 15, 20 years still left. It's okay. But it does hurt it. Okay. And it strengthens this case, which obviously is overall kind of, I think ultimately weakening the fiat system, frankly. So what we're probably seeing here is a lot of people are going to be on the bull wagon for gold and silver. And you can already see that in today's numbers. They were down a little bit before. They were starting to come back up. Gold obviously broke a new high. I'm going to maintain, obviously, 3,000. And I'm even going to upgrade gold soon. But we're going to hit 3,000 first. Let's get 3,000 first. We've been looking for this baby for 18 months. So, let's get 3,000 first. But it does show you that the right asset class for the upcoming dramas is always going to be usually better. I should probably up my TLT position. We'll look at that in a moment. Gold's so great. Well, gold's okay. I mean, right time, it's good. Otherwise, it's crap. Just remember, it is generally a crap asset. I am not actually a gold lover. Well, I kind of like gold, but, I don't usually hold it. Most of my career so far, gold has been trash, and I've not liked it. So, yeah, it's all about timing with most of these things. Timing, and then understanding what's up. The gold and silver, they still both look really strong. Silver getting a nice bounce as well. Obviously, I think silver broke to the upside, so technically that looks really solid. And it's got better risk reward on it. Obviously, you can see some of the things we're looking at here. But yeah, silver doing well, gold doing okay. They're doing well even with a strong dollar. The initial strong dollar move seems to have weakened off. So this one, we'll have to watch this very closely. Obviously, if you're trading, let's say China, you want the dollar to weaken. If you are trading probably gold, you technically still want the dollar to weaken. And yeah, we'll see what that happens. Short yields did go up, so you can see here, but not much. So again, no real heavy reaction there. It's just really a liquidation of crypto, I would say today. Today was super liquidation of crypto. But as we settle here into the morning, it's not that bad. There are certain stocks I'm sure that will get hit around more. Which I'm interested to see, like let's say a Ford. Okay. The Ford's down $9.60. Ugh, car company. Can't be buying no car companies, guys. I still think this. Remember this? F-150. Lightning. Gonna destroy the world. That didn't work out. So I think that's also another tell of, oh wait, maybe that was F-150 Lightning. This is just another sign of why you've got to not pay attention to the narrative too much, guys. You've got to look at what the story was. What is important? What's important is, did you just get your money stolen by a stupid algorithmic bot or some guy eating a lobster on the weekend, like in the Wolf of Wall Street kind of thing? If that's the answer, if he's eating a lobster on your money, then you probably shouldn't be paying attention to the news too much, because the news will freak you out. Good buy zone hit by the US 2000. Again, for people that aren't panicked, technically it's an interesting level. Stops would have to be underneath here. This is a pretty solid most trade level. Again, I like to say, for most people, patience and react. That is, see how this market actually interacts today, see whether it holds wicks on Ethereum and some of the others, see whether, the markets can stabilize at these levels and give actual slower time frame setups. That's always a good key. And obviously, I'll come at you with the dark pools later on at the close. So as I mentioned to our private community, I'm really looking for the dark pools. I want to know whether they've decided to execute big positions today. If they do, then obviously they're thinking that the risk is not as heavy as you may think. NVDA going to break 116. Yeah, let's have a look at NVIDIA. So that is a very important level. It was lower this morning. So it was down in the 113s, I think, for me. So 113s in the pre. You can see here 115.40, which is still around that most traded zone. This is still a very good level for NVIDIA. Obviously, I think it's a very solid level. You can make the argument this is a Wyckoff distribution, so you got to be very careful. This was not even an argument; it technically is by most setups. So Wyckoff's a pretty solid setup, and that's not great for Nvidia. So certainly the weakest sign that I have on the markets right now is this chart here, which is the leader of the entire rally starting to weaken off. Now, I'll tell you this: if this continues to be crap, because you got to remember, we're now almost a year on NVIDIA doing nothing. Okay. So that is no returns, which is, nothing bad. But if it starts to decline heavily against that, which I don't think it will, but if it, not yet, but if it does, that's certainly a warning sign, very big warning sign. Like even if the market was rallying up and everyone was like, wow, it's so good, that would still be very terrifying. Important level. I think it'll open just underneath the low, which it is right now. I'd like to see rally pretty much instantaneously on it, push it back above, close above. That could be a good sign. Again, may pay to actually be waiting near the end of the session more than the start. Let's have a quick look at some of the other semis. Let's have a look at Intel for a second here. So it's down 2.47. Had the earnings around here. Again, relatively solid level. Comes back down to 1890. It's crap stock, obviously. Coming back down here to these lows. This is actually a pretty good level for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out this high. And I think that will be a good zone if it regains that. Because I'm not lost on Intel being a potential like little bargain basement drop there. Shorting NVIDIA could end your life. It could. AMD as well. Yeah, we have to go over to AMD. Look, I had not been a fan of AMD until around here where we started to see dark pools. So, don't get me wrong. I got 120. It's down, $7 at the moment. So have we seen a technical buy? We've seen an island reversal. There's no doubt. A good little rally. Bloody trend lines continuing to cause problems. It's down here again this morning, thanks to the tariff information. But I think this is going to be an epic trend line. So I'm still very excited for AMD at these prices. Now, is it actually cheap? No. Is it fair value? Yes. I think it's just hit fair value. I'm going to read a number and get a number for you guys. All right, let's just get this. Okay, so this is the number for AMD. I will give you what it's actually valuing at. Okay, yeah, AMD is cheap now. It's under fair value, probably. On a 5-year average, it's definitely cheap, but it's not as cheap as it has been. It traded at once at 15. So it's trading at 24.2. 20 would be exceptional. 24.2 is okay. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. Still bullish on crypto as ETH takes another excuse to pile over itself and hits 52-week lows. 52. Oh, it will hit the lows, but that's a wipe, man. Yeah, I think you've got to realize where you're at. Did Bitcoin drop? Did Bitcoin lose the high? I know this is the game where everyone has an opinion, of course. And the key is, can you discern whether it's ready, whether it's really a proper dump that's going to be like absolutely the end of everything, or whether it's an opportunity. And that's the tough part. Most of the time, if you want to go with the stats, you'd probably say most of the time it's a buy the dip. But it doesn't mean it's always one. Agriculture still doing very nicely. Yeah, so AMD, that's the numbers we've got there. How have tariffs affected treasuries in the past? Yeah, well, I mean, you can have a look at TLT. So the only tariffs we really saw were minuscule amounts of tariffs, which were back during this period here, where that was the tariff beginning. And then, of course, we saw a massive treasuries pick up. I wouldn't so much look at the tariff and treasuries. I would look, because what you're really saying is what's going to happen to yields. What are the long yields going to do? Are we going to see a decline in expectations of GDP in the future and the long yield come down? If the long yield does come down, then obviously we'll see treasuries go up. It's that simple, really. I mean, these are pretty decent levels for treasuries. We saw, of course, declines continue, rallied to a high, couple of large trades in here. It's okay. I don't trade treasuries. You guys know that. I don't really think it's a good idea. Generally, you want to be looking at, instead of trading treasuries, you want to be looking at investing or using them as a hedge part of your portfolio. Just keep buying as stocks dip. We will have easy money this year. I don't think it's going to be easy money this year. Easy money was last year and the year before that, Nathan, unfortunately, for most people. Why does GDX not move with gold often? Because gold miners are notoriously horrendous at getting gold out of the ground. Gold miners have improved greatly, though, over the last couple of weeks. HSI is fun. It's solid. If we have a look at that. By the way, if you're in Brisbane or you're in Perth, make sure to click the link in the pinned comment. Come over and see us. We've got a free session. We're going to be sharing our thoughts on 2025. Going to have some tidbits that you will not get anywhere else, believe me. And it's going to be completely free. So if you want to come out, Brisbane, February, Tuesday is 24th, and Perth is 25th or 26th. One of those, those days around there. So make sure to sign up. It's got all the details there. And yeah, sign up for the newsletter as well. I'll be returning it next week because there's too much to go through. We have to start, posting a bit of that. So newsletter will come out next week after this tariff stuff plays out a little bit here. HSI still looks good to me. So if you're looking at remember 10%, again, we'll see how it plays out. But really the story was obviously DeepSeek. Now, has anyone seen over the weekend, we got another one. So OpenAI released their reasoning robot thing. I played around with it a little bit. Seems fine. Obviously, it does some cool code. So if you didn't see it, I'll show you a little picture here. Oh, 2.21 billion wrecked. This is a little video here. And basically, this is just a code by that little robot or by the chatbot. You can see the difference. DeepSeek R1 Python code versus O3 Mini, and this is meant to be like a realistic gravity falling ball or something. But I think the fact is that things are moving quick. This thing looks like trash, frankly. I mean, I know these are just to make O3 Mini look even better, but there you go. So the wild and wonderful world of AI moves at extreme rates very, very quickly. We're already into ChatGPT's back, baby. There you go. Now, regardless of that, I still think it could be a catalyst for China because people will go there and they'll say, well, wait a second, this is suddenly an innovation. We can now forward PE 2 times higher or something like that. And then all of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of multiples that are going up on the Chinese stocks. Barber obviously was the interesting one from a lot of people. I think Barber can potentially move back up again. I've always hated this stock for years now, as you guys know, but I kind of think it's okay. PA-wise looks all right. Obviously, I think it might drop a little bit before it rallies, but still overall fine. And you can see here the HSI holding very nicely. Again, around the right levels you'd want to hold. So we've been sitting here for a while now, but really most of the markets have actually been sitting doing nothing. They've been going up and down 2-3%. A lot of new AI DeepSeek experts since last week. Yeah, that's for sure. Everyone's a expert at everything. That's what that meme was. Last week I was an expert at DeepSeek. Now I'm an expert in trade policy. Remember, we're not experts at either of those things here, guys. What we like to do is we like to put together the data, evidence, psychology, the big market trades, and just basically say, where the hell are the big traders? What are they doing? The most disturbing thing, and I'll tell you this right now, is I have seen a lot of big trades like this. Okay. And that is worrying because basically what we're getting at the moment is chopping and huge trades. Can anyone guess what that may make if it does go bad? Tom, do you think jobs number reports this week will already reflect deportation / government workers? Nah. 170,000 or something is the expectation, I think, from Goldman Sachs. Wyckoff distribution, yeah. And it is setting up pretty nicely for one of those. Boom, 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 3 highs. Ugh. We do not want to lose that level too much. That would be bad. So you do need to keep it in mind because you got one on Bitcoin as well. You got one on the major here, which is arguably the S&P 500 of crypto, Bitcoin. And you got one on the US 500. I mean, I am not sleeping on those. And you've got one on NVDA, which is technically shorting off. So you've got to remember, there is a clear case here for the bears, better than they've had for a long time. I almost want to join the bears with that one because this is 3 cases. I mean, I could sit there and say, look at this, guys. It's going to happen. The problem is it's preemptive. And a lot of the time, these do set up and then they end up being buys because they're accumulations. You don't know until they actually break and start the move. So it looks like a buy then. I think the crypto move. I don't think the stock market, frankly, is a very good deal considering this is still important. I think it's more worrying than 1.5%, frankly. But the crypto markets are stupid. I mean, whatever that is, 36% or something off Ethereum at one point. Bitcoin dumped about, 12, 15, nothing unusual. Solana dumped like 40% or something from the highs recently. These are significant discounts on crypto for basically what was a massive flash sale that liquidated record numbers. For anyone that doesn't know, 2.21 plus billion liquidated. A lot of retailers, unfortunately. Wow, it has to happen, otherwise markets won't do this. And yeah, it was all between the low liquidity of Asian session into Frankfurt London Open. That usually tells you it's a white. PLTR is very hyped, overhyped. Let's have a look at PLTR in the pre. Down 1.79, so not down that much. Again, and I said it over here. I said I think it was going into a 1-3 month sideways. So far, proven correct. So, still not that exciting to me, especially at the valuations. Tough to get behind the valuations on PLTR. Now, what do I? These prices, I probably just chill. Up to you. Trend is not completely destroyed, that's for sure. There's another stock that I wanted to put in here. Oh yeah, I want to look at some defensive. So let's have a look at utilities. Utilities is a pretty good level. And frankly, it's nice trade zone. Decent pickups last week. Obviously defensive. Down 1.36. I think it looks all right. And of course, one of my favorites this year at the moment is healthcare, which I've been doing in the private group. Been talking about this a lot. So yeah, I continue to like it for a myriad of reasons. And yeah, it's only down 0.62 because defensive. I do like the defensives this year way more. I think the defensives look exceptional. Jensen doing all the selling last year may have taken out support in NVDA. Jensen sells every year, doesn't he? How is Boomer Bitcoin MSTR? Boomer. Did anyone see that? Is there a Forbes picture? 312. Is there a Forbes picture of like all of these people getting like Forbes covers? I think MSTR just got featured. Down 6.51. And then they're all like the peaks of the markets. Yeah, there's like a collage of all of them together. It's pretty funny. One with FTX on it. We're all boomers here. Well, probably. Depends what you mean a boomer is. Some people call people over 23 as a boomer. I'm kind of shocked XLU is down so much. Usually it's safe haven. It's got the AI component, though. There's a lot of weird new additions to the utility side. Yes, so good. Anyone got it to me? Link it to me in Discord so I can share it with somebody. SK Ski Drew. Thank you very much, Ski Drew. $10. Appreciate it, man. Super chat. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your support. How are they trading at night? What do you mean? How do you trade from the Australian markets, or how are you trading these things through the night? Generally speaking, there's pretty much 24/5 market nowadays. VIX is a great idea. You can have a look at VIX in a moment. So again, MSTR, whatever. This thing is pretty much you should look at Bitcoin and then come over and do your analysis based on your Bitcoin, really. So in this case, we think that crypto bottomed earlier in the session. That was way in the morning for the US. Often the way it is, illiquidity times. If you're going to stay up for the lows, I'll give you a hint. Between after China's open, a few hours after that, and Frankfurt, good time. Just after the US, maybe 2-3 hours, kind of everyone's like having their dinner and stuff. That's not a bad time either. That's usually the low. But when you're seeing these flashes, I've noticed most of them happen around that Frankfurt period. So whenever you're doing analysis, guys, just remember you've got to do the analysis on the major, especially during these freak times when you get these crashes. Always. For crypto, Bitcoin should be your first chart of choice. Number one, US 500, number one. They are number one. And you get a smiley face. My God, that's a terrible smiley face. That's creepy. But anyway, that's what we get. Looks like a duck or something. All right, we'll get rid of that thing. But either way, Bitcoin and S&P, they're probably two of your main important charts because you don't really need to look at the NASDAQ that much. You just pay attention to the S&P, see the hits, go from there. Copper, flat. Again, not that many worries here, not as much as you'd think. Let's have a look at VIX, because obviously VIX is spiking back above 20. Now, a lot of people are going to be looking at this and saying, oh, maybe I can do a little shorty VIX. I've noticed that a lot of retail traders are getting into the short VIX side. And it's because it looks like easy money until it isn't. So pretty much what I've noticed is everyone's trying to short VIX around this price here, around 22.50. And I have seen this trade so many times over the last kind of like, I'd say like year in particular. But really, it's emphasized heavily, I would say, the last 2 or 3 times. People are super excited to short VIX. Now, I know that this is going to get slammed one day and people are going to get absolutely blitzed. Just remember that, guys. It seems easy until it isn't. But yeah, the short VIX play has been generally short the 22.50. That's what a lot of people have done. Trump puts tariffs on EU, it's going to crash much more than this week. I think it's a strategic have a go and see what happens kind of thing, and let's go with this. Yeah. Look, I'm sure someone actually did some GDP numbers and actually said, well, wait a second, what if we do it this way? Will this kind of work? I don't know. Who knows? All the answer really needs to be is, will it be removed? How long does it have to sit there before it degrades the market? And will the market, is it an excuse to dump it off? And I think the crypto market was an excuse, and there was huge liquidations, and we can see that in the facts. We got the facts. We got the receipts. The receipts say that nasty whales stole retailers' money. Is Tesla down in the hours? Yeah, it's down 392. Still not underneath that 370, 380 area, which will push it, I believe, down to 340. Why only 10% on China? What's the game plan? I mean, it's pretty simple to see, in my opinion. You can't put huge one on China, because if you do that, then you're going to really shrek the market. It's kind of like, yeah, if you actually look at the numbers, the GDP numbers, again, we shared that before at the start of the stream. But look, I'm not a politics expert. I would just say that if I was trying to test things, probably a very shocking way of doing it. But I guess you could do it this way. I don't know. It doesn't really go into your considerations when you're trading. You've got to ask yourself, when you're trading, investing, what's your edge? How are you going to? Does it really matter? A lot of people want answers for everything. Oh, I want to know what happened here. Or, why did it fall today? Who cares, guys? 99% of the time, you won't remember what it was a week later. Now, this is an important piece of information because obviously it's not happened in a long time, tariffs like this. But generally speaking, a PPI or a CPI read, I dare anyone to actually know what happened 3 months ago on PPI. Anyone here actually know what happened 3 months ago on a PPI number and what happened to the market from that? I doubt it. China already has 25% tariff. Now it's 35%. Again, what on? Can you discuss the Indian markets? We can have a look at the Nifty 50. I think a lot of people haven't been watching the Nifty 50 and they're probably not aware of it. So Indian market's obviously been one of the best the last couple of years. Very, very decent market to generally be in up until recently. So let's just have a look at the top down. We've got 13% decline. So the standard kind of correction of about 10 to 15. That's corrective levels, not obviously crash levels. We then typically governments step in around that period, which they did. And they've actually turned it towards what I would say is the upside. So we can actually do a little bit of this decent TA here, actually. So we can trend line the bottom off, say, okay, well, wait a second, that's kind of improved. We can say that this took a higher high, which is good. Volume has remained consistent, so it's not higher. I would obviously want to do a few other sections of India, but it's important to note. You can actually see here, if everyone's not familiar, this is how much of a rip it's been on. So you might think the US has been going well. Look at this thing, up 200% even to this level. So is India a great market to invest in? I thought it was for a long time, and I did, but not anymore, in my opinion. Not right now. obviously it's getting stimulated, but it's more just I think the timing of the market. I think it's if you're doing day trading though, you probably wouldn't hate what you've seen. You've got announcements, I think, over the weekend, a pretty good price action towards the upside here. That's a decent sign if you have stops below here from a TA side. Obviously, make your own risks, make your own decisions. Stuff. What's a unicorn? Well, unicorn usually means a pretty special business, like a Tesla. You picked it early, or a Amazon, or a Google, or something. That's what they use it. That's the use of the word unicorn usually in stocks. If you need a tutor, you can jump on over to fxevolution.com. Not so much a tutor, but you can actually have a look at stuff and courses and stuff. There's been rotation from India into China recently. Yeah, I'd agree with that. China's a more attractive percentage market from a forward PE perspective. Did you look at crypto already? Yeah, we spent a while on it. Have you spoken about NVDA already? Yes, we did. Yeah. We had a look at NVIDIA and we obviously like the level. EAT is a unicorn. EAT. Brinker International. Oh, man, that thing's on fire. Where were you sharing Brink International last year? EAT. This is a restaurant. Good. What is this? How big is this? 8 bill. Chili's. How is this crap? I don't know. Yin is 3 times leveraged Chinese ETF. Yeah, I know what it is. But you don't do analysis on that. Do the analysis on the main market. Then, if you want to trade the inefficient, illiquid kind of 3x leverage funds, then you can do well. They're liquid, but they're inefficient. You can have a look at it. XBI, yeah, and we can have a look, but it's not that interesting. I think healthcare is better. Well, not bad. I mean, it's probably on the lows. Apart from the stock market and crypto, is anything else freaking out? Spreads on bonds? We don't know because we haven't got the markets open properly yet. So you can look at the futures ones, but we have to do a dissection of the market by the close. Just really can't tell. Now, a lot of people, I think people in retail specifically, most of us make the mistake of reacting instantly without having the evidence. Remember, a good dip or something like that, generally, especially if it's a really big freak out moment, nothing doesn't not pay to usually wait for the day. The close is the key. What do the big boys do at the close? Are we seeing big trades? We're going to bring it to you by the end of the day. So don't worry. Subscribe if you're new. We'll bring it to you. I'll see what's happening. I'll put some good work in and find out what the hell's going on. Are we seeing large transactions? Are we seeing options walls? I expect there to be puts opened a lot on the stocks as people go bearish. I would not be surprised at all if retail went pretty bearish initially. And if that does happen, then markets can push higher because of the nature of these tariffs the way they are. Plus, people already, getting together. Trump's getting together with somebody and having a chat or whatever. Crude up 2.58%. Yeah, we can look at crude. So this is actually a pretty good setup before any of these announcements. So you can see here, very nice basing. This was obviously our target to get to. I haven't changed any of these, by the way, since we're up here. You know what? Good work, guys. Let's give ourselves a clap here. We're going to give ourselves a little golf clap because guess what? You nailed it. This is actually pretty sweet. And what I mean by this is it's been a great move, been a pretty good decline, exactly where we expect. And this is actually a pretty solid basing. I do have it, and I will put it into the close video, that XLE is heavily sold off, as in like funds money has gone out big time since Trump. And I know everyone's going to say, but the news, the drill, baby, drill. If the businesses want to drill, then yeah, sure, that will happen. But I'm not so convinced that oil companies want to do anything in particular. So they're always cartelling around, and therefore they'll jack prices if they feel like it by not drilling, by not doing certain things. Either way, I like the structure, a base of oil here. Day traders certainly are looking to buy. Goldman Sachs is going to pay for downgrading Oxy to 45. Goldman Sachs. Did they do that? Did they? Let's have a look at Oxy. Well, 45, pretty much where it is right now. Goldman Sachs. Occident, yeah. Shares fall after downgrading from Goldman. I saw this decades ago in Nicaragua. How are people so bearish so quickly? And it's the nature of the markets when you've got really strong opinions and you've got an overpriced kind of market. He discussed the Russell, already did, quite like the level. I think it's sitting right on my good buy zone level. Question mark, of course, make your own decisions. No, this is a very heavily traded zone. So if it's going to buy, usually here. What are my thoughts on the Russell and tariffs? Oh, see, we were liking what we heard about DeepSeek because that opened up more AI businesses in the Russell. Obviously, I'm just really looking at it from a healthcare / regional bank process because the Russell is made up of so many regional banks. So if we get deregulation, which I still think we're going to get, then yeah, Russell is probably going to do all right. The crypto cartels sold crypto because of coming wars. My friends invited me here to teach me something and then said nothing. Hey, Tom, any IPOs that you're interested in? You know me and IPOs, man. If you're not in early, then I don't like them. IPOs are a sell in a day to a week, get out, come back 18 months later. I'm surprised sentiment hasn't changed on airliners. Yeah. What is Jets doing? And that's another sign of basically the American consumer doing relatively well. Let's actually have a look at Jets here for a second. So if you go back through and we have a look, I was kind of consistently basing here for years. This doesn't, they don't make profit like this while everyone's not spending. Telling you, people are levering up. They're just absolutely out of control. People are out of control. We can see it in credit card spends. We can see it in the market. These jitters, these massive moves in crypto, 30% here, 10% here, stocks falling 5 and down, and big trades and records being made every day. These are all the hallmarks of a market that is getting there. Still bullish for now, but yeah. Trading is not the same as investing, and it's not the same as strategic asset allocation. Correct? They're all different. Whatever happened to the Japanese yen? Isn't it close to the level before unwind? I think it's in the middle of nowhere if you have a look at it on the chart. CNI. I don't know what this is, but I'll check it out for you. Canadian National Railway. Oh, I like railways. They're so boring, those stocks. This railway doesn't seem to be a very good railway. The hell is this? Why has it been doing nothing? That's what we want to come from railways. Railways were like the greatest investment for so long. Look at them. And if you look at some of the American railways, it's like, it was like this, just every year just stacking 10%. The beautiful thing. Trading is the same as a rap battle. I guess so. Look, most of this stuff is just psychology. And basically, that's what it is. Can you beat the herd of us as retail traders and investors, and also unsophisticated investors? You'd be surprised how people make decisions. And again, today brings out these opinions. Oh, we've got to, the market's going to crash and everything's ending, or it's all okay and we can still keep buying. And even though there's fear, I wouldn't say these tariffs are good. I think they're probably more troublesome than the other things that we've seen so far over the last 3-4 months, because they can spike a few problems. But again, even if it just depends how long they're in place. CNI said they were going to have 10 to 15% increase in revs in their earnings report. Okay. Even so, though, I mean, the price action on the bottom here is okay, I guess. DeepSeek ban bill is 321, which is an amendment banning the download of DeepSeek within the US. Doesn't surprise me at all. It's probably time that type of stuff's done to a degree. Warren Buffett has complete ownership of rail companies. Yeah, he knew. Would you think about putting out weekly expected moves on major indices and top stocks every Monday morning stream? Yeah. I obviously put out daily expected moves on the US 500 on the daily show. I think you'll find, look, they are good. Expected moves are good. There's basically what he's saying is this options market has like a predictor. 68% of the time, the market will stay within a range. You get a high, you get a low. And effectively, they are pretty good resistance levels and support levels for you to use. You can actually buy off them all the time and sell off them. They're not by themselves good enough, but they can be used along with conjunction of other things. Do you trade futures or CFDs? Generally in Australia, we trade CFDs. What's my favorite color? Green. Nah, it's blue. But I'm sure. What's the chat's favorite color? Give us your favorite color. I've never asked anyone in the chat. Let's see. Tesla below 100 by May. Oh, Mr. Ponzi. That's very negative. Black, navy blue. Actually, green for sure. A lot of greens in here, I'd say. I do like the Australian $100 bill. Anything wrong with that? Orange, dark blue, red, blue, pickle color. Turquoise. Lots of different colors. White. I don't know if I even know that many people that like white as a color. My favorite color is deep red. Behind the dip, I guess. Yep. So, guys, where we're at today is we've done this show at the start. I'd encourage you to have a look over some of the data we shared, some of the quick things that we talked about, just so you're fully aware. Obviously, today we do have these earnings coming through. These are the expected moves. So for the earnings results. So obviously you got some big ones here. Snap's going to move potentially 17.7%. Palantir today, 13.4%. Know what you're up for. I mean, it's not a great day to be releasing your results, but anyway. Chipotle, 6.6. Amazon, 6.5. Cloudflare, 11. Roblox, 12. Roblox also was one of the hit pieces, I believe, for Hindenburg before they shut down. So that'll be interesting. Disney, 6.6. Will they keep going the way of Netflix? These are the big bits of news. The main one is going to be obviously the talk of tariffs all week. So dump them. And then this one here, non-farm payrolls. So at the moment, I think it's Goldman Sachs claiming 178K plus on jobs. A lot of people are concerned about that number. This certainly will move the market to a degree, probably move the US dollar the most. We'll go from there. These are the options implied moves. That's right. On the earnings itself. So what did we see to recap? Well, we had a market that wiped some pretty big zones. You can see Bitcoin wiped out went to two levels, hit the main base one, did okay. It's bounced. We're looking for wicks by the end of the day. I think Ethereum bottomed off at just absolutely wiping out the lows. Again, needs to hold these levels. That's going to be important. US 500 barely suffered really. 59.20, 59.50 is a buy area for last week. Will it be again this week? I'd probably wait and see. Let's see if the dark pools come out. We'll repeat that at the end of the show. At the end of the close. So obviously we'll do a video then. And we've got NASDAQ through the lows here. Gold doing really well. I think this is overall a positive for gold. The world of tensions and the world of uncertainty, people will go back to the metal of choice, and that is gold. So bring on 3,000. We're going to get it done, guys. And it becomes more and more likely by the day, really. I mean, not only that we're now at 2,800. The first time we talked about this, it was like 1,780 or 1,750, but it's just because it just becomes so much more probable when you've got trade wars and uncertainty and geopolitical. It's just all these things are just gold's best friend, frankly. US oil looked pretty solid as well from the TA in terms of the closes. Obviously, if you're a bear in oil, closing below 71.80 would be very bearish, and that would be good for you being a bear. Closing would be the key. VIX traders are going to be looking at 20, trying to get in some short VIX. I'm not going to do that trade. I just don't think it's worth it. But anyway, what people will do. And NVDA is right at the important level. So it's pretty much sitting around 115. So it needs to regain and close above probably a 117 by the end of the day, ideally. There's a lot of stocks, I'm sure, that are sitting around kind of interesting zones. But remember, the most important thing is US 500 holds, Bitcoin holds, and dollar probably goes down. That's really the things that you want, because ultimately that continues to bring in the potential of bulls. They probably will also have a ton of puts sitting behind it if we do hold these levels today, which makes it harder for the market to go down. Will Bitcoin go down another 5% or hold from here? I don't deal with a basic spec. I mean, you just have to think about it from the perspective of this is what we'll hit. The first time it becomes more likely to then say, oh, do you think it's going down there again? You don't really want it back down there again. So if it falls back down to these lows again, that's not a great sign. There were a couple of trades that did happen on Bitcoin on the 1 minute chart. Actually presented an exceptionally good entry around this 92 that a few people got. Google is the better choice. Google is not bad. It's still accumulating around, breached last week and coming back down to the accumulation level. Yeah. Need a healthy 20% correction on the S&P. I don't think that's healthy. It'd be sick if it did that. There's too much animal spirits, man. To get those kind of drops, you're going to have to drop a lot of people's debt, and it's going to cause significant issues. So there you go, guys. Everything we kind of covered there. Someone ends here with the RSP, which is not a bad chart. And yeah, I mean, it still looks really nice from the other day. I guess I'll leave you with often what I call the American consumer. I do have a couple of other reads which I share in my courses like this, but these are great ways of understanding the economy in just one chart. You know, coming into this event, if you showed this to anyone, would they all say it's up? Well, if the answer is yes, then it's very difficult to be bearish. Basically, this means people are spending money, creating debt, spending money, and no one's fearful. Now, if this was not looking like this, well, that can be a little bit more concerning, but that is still a very aggressive line towards the upside. Ultimately, that means that people are spending money. They are going out in the economy and doing things. They're starting new little businesses. There's economic activity everywhere. Obviously, the earnings announcements have been really, really good so far. And you've got to keep that in the back of your mind. Tariffs are one thing. The tariffs can go away like this if needed. And I'm assuming that it's going to be all over the news for the next 2 weeks. Then we'll see what happens. Markets are not the real economy. Well, the representation of the American spending. So, yeah. Even if people can't afford it. You know, when I was in America, I was honestly surprised that some people could even live, frankly, on some of the wages that some people get paid. And I'm sure they can't, but this is the market. And as you say, it's not really the economy. It's a representation of at least a percentage of the money floating around. Thanks again, Tom, for another important stream. No worries, guys. Make sure to sub. Make sure to hit that alarm bell as well. We do these Monday sessions every week. Obviously, Mondays tend to be these kind of huge ones at the moment. I almost think it's on purpose that everything gets released on the weekends now to cause mass hysteria and mistakes to be made. We'll do a close show. We'll cover dark pool. We'll cover options levels. We'll cover the latest data, and we'll get some more information on how deep these tariffs would cut. All right, guys, you have a fantastic day and catch you for now. Bye-bye.